Welcome back, everyone. We're just about ready to get into Game 2 between Vici Gaming and Edward Gaming. Coming at you live from the venue here in Shanghai, where I've got do you hear that, Rusty? It's the eerie pall of the fans going very silent.
You could have just said silence, Tom.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
Vici Gaming, they took game number 1 against EDG. Oh, man. I haven't seen the fans this razzled since their loss against Snake.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in this second game anymore, Dom, and that's actually very scary. To be honest with you, I didn't expect Vici to be as good as they were. I didn't expect to see what we saw from EDG in this game either. They looked by no means close to perfect, or even the best we've seen of them this split. Yeah. Something seems to be in complete disarray, and it's not just the silence of the fans that are going to start causing that stir now either. They do need to reassess, go backstage, talk to their coach, and work out what the heck they're doing now.
Yeah, well, they're currently making a couple of steps forward as they return back to stage. EDG with side selection have chosen blue side here, and EDG very low blue side percentage. Yeah. They have almost exclusively stayed to the red side so far this split, so maybe this has been their trump card. They've been practicing with the weights on, going red side only or looking for counter pick, because I think we've got to see something new. They cannot afford to play that same style against Vici in Game 2.
I don't think we'll see the Kog'Maw from them again.
Yeah,
and the Kog'Maw in the LPL, by the way, has now got a little bit less than 20% of a win rate. Is now 4 wins, 15 losses.
Oh.
So, unfortunately, Kog'Maw is just not what it used to be in the LPL. I would say EDG being on the blue side is the first pick priority. They want to get something really big as their first pick, and I don't think it needs to be Ornn anymore. Ray has all of these other champions that he could look towards. Don't be afraid of Loong playing Ornn. It's better that he's off Shen anyway. That's just what Loong plays, Shen and Gnar, and then Kennen, which is out of the meta. So pick something for Haro. Pick something for Meiko, something that can win lanes and work together with your shot callers, with your communicators. Like, set yourself up to succeed and have tempo in the game, or Vici will just walk over you very slowly, I might add, but they will walk over you.
Slow walk, but a walk regardless, though. Vici Gaming, they did look rather confident in their pick and ban with the first pick Kalista, and then, surprise, surprise, last pick Shen for Loong. So they very well could be comfortable with a sort of counter pick strategy on that red side if EDG try to get wild.
Yeah, definitely. I think the top side, maybe mid lane as well, Easyhoon, while he's got Azir, may still look towards those counter picks and, again, find strength in laning, try and get some control of the map.
Well, we'll have to see how that works out. Our casters are now ready to get us into game. Pulse and Raz, take it away.
Thank you, Dominic Roma, first of his name and mother of recaps. Thank you so much for that one. So as we get into game number 2 here, Raz, I wonder if Vici can actually do it, because they got their first win, but they need to get 2 in a row and against EDG.
Yes, that's the trick. It's
that is the problem.
You worked out very well in the game, in the first game. You're feeling good. You go back to, I guess, the backstage room. You're like trying to discuss what you can do better. Now there are points for Vici where they can do better. They can actually work towards, well, how are their early games going, right? Haro had a lot of good wards onto Sejuani, and they won't get a free Baron like that anymore. It looks like Martin's receiving a lot of love. A lot of love. And I think that they didn't find their bottom side opportunities without that Baron, right? It felt like they could have been, the early game could have been a lot more focused towards that bottom side, and the early Shen TP really kind of hurt them a little bit. But before all of that, if they work on that, I think Game 2 is going to be even more competitive. And with that being said, EDG will have to, I don't know. I mean, Zach talked about the top lane champion pool. I think that's the first step.
Yep, I agree. As we get into this second champion select. I don't even know what 2 words I tried to combine there, but we are into this one, EDG and Vici Game 2. Shen, that's Azir and Sejuani. So screw your last composition, Vici. You're getting none of it.
There we go. So immediately with the Shen ban, you can do that on blue side. You can just actually go towards a target ban. Very easy to say, well, Loong, you won't get the Shen any longer. And now you either take the Gnar now, or in the second phase, once again, we'll just ban that as well.
They are locking in picks left and right. Kalista, Jarvan, and Zoe from Vici with their bans, but they've locked in Kog'Maw and Azir. Kog'Maw and Malzahar. I'm sorry, I looked at Easyhoon and just my brain just went Azir, but he's picked up Malzahar.
Yeah, when there's not that many champions up in the mid lane, or at least very frequently picked champions, Azir and Ryze off the equation, then Easyhoon's going to go to what's comfortable for him, what he's been playing on stream, on stage, in scrims. Malzahar is that go-to pick for him to kind of create that action on the map.
You can definitely count the mid lane champion pool on one hand right now, but EDG, Ryze will be the first pick, followed up by Caitlyn. We'll see what the next pick will be from EDG as well. They are looking towards their jungle, but Caitlyn for iBoy is an interesting one.
Yeah, Caitlyn got banned in game 1 by Vici. Now, the reason for that, whenever EDG finds themselves in the Caitlyn pick, Caitlyn Janna, Caitlyn anything, honestly, EDG find a way to take down that bottom lane tower before 8 minutes. That is ridiculous. And so, iBoy and Meiko in laning phase is something to be feared, especially when they know how to slow roll the game. They don't necessarily have to go for these all-in fights, as they can just chip at your tower, force the enemy jungle, this time it's going to be Crash, to kind of answer to that. That's a ticking time bomb they have to respect now that Caitlyn's been picked for EDG.
It was Haro picking up the Lee Sin. It's going to be Jax locked in on first rotation from Vici. All right. Okay.
You know what's hilarious?
What's that, Raz?
Loong can play Jax. Now, I don't think he's going to, because Jax is a jungle pick. Jax is a pick where you would see it more frequently in the jungle. Does quite well into the Lee Sin. Does well into these compositions where he can use Counter-Strike, or at least his E, to just kind of dodge out a lot of the autos. Now, Caitlyn's going to have a lot of problems against that. And kind of just skirmish up against you. High base damages and high resistances when he actually hits his ulti.
He does, however, have an abysmal win rate in the LPL. He's currently 1-4, so...
Not a lot of picks out there, so I'll just give it that defense.
Yep. Yeah, small sample size, to be fair. Janna was banned away, though, so taking away the second half of the fast push composition, along with Caitlyn. Tarek as well, banned out against EDG, so really hitting Meiko here. And Ornn was banned out against Loong.
I like this coming in from Vici, saying we'll take away the defensive pick, because Caitlyn itself works very well from just denying any bottom lane fights, and also allows you to take the tower itself. And then Tarek, you can actually combo the trap with the Tarek stun. So that itself is kind of ridiculous to have to face against. And it allows your team fighting to be all the more stronger. So take those two support picks, and then suddenly you challenge EDG. I mean, sure, Tahm Kench is available, but I think Vici are going to be fine for that in the laning phase.
Yeah, they're going to be A-OK. Plus, they have the Braum as well in the bottom lane for that Kog'Maw. We'll look towards that final pick now, and it should be a top laner for EDG. Let's see what's left. I mean, now they are on blue side, so they didn't get the top lane counter pick if they wanted it, but Gnar is still available, so you might just go Gnar.
Yeah, here's what's interesting. I know that some players out there, and solo queue specifically, have been comfortable picking the Jax into the Gnar a little bit. I think it's like a bit of a skill matchup. So now that Vici have kind of played that flex hand going into the last pick, Vici, I mean, Loong, he looks at his champion pool, massacred.
Yep.
So he can actually just pick up the Jax, or he would have to show something new.
So Jax is a good matchup into Gnar if you have jungle pressure, because your whole laning phase is you jumping on top of the Gnar. And if if Gnar has any type of jungle pressure, then they just gank the Jax and you're donezo.
Yeah. Looks like they're just not going to go for it, picking up the Jayce this time around. I'm a fan of this just because the matchup is heavily in favor of Jayce. And if they kind of look back to what has made Vici strong in the secondary league, it has been playing around Loong early, and then, of course, from that point forward, kind of sending the love elsewhere. This time around, Ray is going to have to deal with the pressure, and Haro's going to have to help him.
Yeah, he's going to have to come up there. And Crash, we'll see what he can do in the early game as well. As Jax, he said, high base damages, and in theory, it's a good pick. It should work out, but LPL hasn't managed to make it work just yet, though. I will say that, like, in general, with new picks, when it comes into a lot of the new picks, it takes a while for the LPL to make it work. Like, back when Galio was first remade and he came into mid lane, he was like 1-6. Like, it just could not make Galio work. But as soon as, like, Jarvan came in and he managed to get the combos down, it was like, okay, I understand it. We managed to make it work, and then it just became a staple of the LPL. So maybe Jax down the line will become better and better.
Yeah, I'm not convinced on Jax being a meta pick. I think it's just some of the answers to a meta pick, kind of like what Olaf was in previous metas. We've been seeing him, of course, globally here and there, mostly in Korea. This time around, it's going to be interesting to see if it can work here. It's just kind of hard. The reason why it is difficult is because now you're picking Jax. How is the team fight going to go? A lot of the Jax builds have just been tanky, right? You're going to have to pick towards a Jax pick. If he gets a kill or two, sure, maybe he can get a Trinity Force in there as well, so you can actually have backline threat. But it's going to be hard to play around his later game team fight since he gets kited. That's the real threat, is him getting kited, especially going up against Tahm Kench. So he's going to have to get those early advantages. He has pressed the attack, I would assume. So early on in the game, he should do quite well versus the Lee Sin.
And that's interesting because it juxtaposes Vici's style, but not Crash's, right? Like, we should look at Crash and see him as an aggressive jungler, and plus he's got a Jayce topside, so he has very clear places to actually play towards this game. So I would just really like to see Crash be unleashed. Go back to what we know Crash for.
Yeah, so this is why we start this day. Vici going up against EDG. I expect a completely different Vici gaming. What's a Vici style? We'll find out today.
If you have the smaller fan base, always go first. never go second.
At the very least, we have more respect for them.
You do. I feel like there have been some turncoats, because that was louder than game one. So some people have definitely jumped ship onto the Vici bandwagon. And how many inspirations we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pressed attack in the jungle. You never really look towards the jungle for inspiration primary.
Yeah, a lot of the junglers just go towards electrocute. Just too damn good in terms of skirmishing power, and it's very easy to utilize in just about every jungle, even Rek'Sai. So whenever you see people try and move away from that, deviate, in solo queue you just lose to a trade because the enemy jungler has electrocute, and you're like, well, I'm back to the electrocute train.
Yep.
A few junglers have been coming back and using Spellbook, but that seems to be the go-to. Electrocute and Spellbook.
Electrocute, Spellbook, or if it says Sejuani, then you can go differently. It's just a game 2 prediction here.
Wow.
52%.
Are you telling me?
52% of people think that Vici's going to win this game.
I don't know how I feel about that.
52%.
There's no faith. I'm relying on the
It's just been
audience
one
here
game.
today.
One game and everyone jumped ship.
You know what? That's what you know what? There's always been the Vici fans out there waiting for them to win, and they're finally
This
coming
is coming out
They're
the
coming
woodwork.
out. Yes, every single one of them.
They're all wearing masks. It's like, I can show my face again.
I'm free.
I've been validated by game 1.
Oh, this is interesting pathing coming out of Haro a little bit. Takes red buff, goes straight towards blue buff. I mean, we've seen this quite a bit because he has the faith that he can go back towards his wolf camp and get that level 3. So he's just worried about him getting contested early by the Jax. He's going to be meeting Jax a little early, though.
Yeah, Blast Cone's over. Now he's going to meet Crash in the river. Ward goes down on Haro. He's going to wait around. It looks like he will be able to prioritize this crab here.
Yeah, you want to be able to hit the crab towards the mid lane. You can actually influence where the crab goes. Every single time it kind of like has that little Shen taunt away. You're like, no. I'm pushing it towards my mid lane, and Ryze has lane priority.
Oh, this is really good actually for Haro because he waits out the counter-strike from Crash. He's going to take a lot of damage from this. Plus he's got red buff, Tempest, follow with the cripple. Loong has to come down to help Crash.
Very smart from Haro. Just controlling the Scuttle Crab and moving it towards his winning matchup in the mid lane meant that Crash either had to give it up entirely or just go towards an unwinnable fight.
Yeah. I mean, Crash was just premature on the counter-strike. Like, you activate it and then you queue onto them, or you just don't activate it at all and wait out until Haro's committed. But Haro just waits out. He plays the most patiently there, and now he's able to invade on top of Crash. He doesn't have the health really to do this, though. The Q goes wide and hits the minion.
Yeah, this is a bit humiliating if you're Crash, knowing that you picked this matchup just so you can walk towards the Lee Sin, and you should be able to out-skirmish him. But because of that one missed decision where you should not have looked for the fight at all, he gets chunked out and he gets followed through because he's already in the jungle with low HP. So really good opportunity from Haro, recognizing that Crash is just nowhere. Well, he shouldn't be farming his camps.
And now Haro, I mean, this is really big for him. He takes away the Raptors. Now he's able to go bot side. He has a lot of control here. Martin gets chunked in the bot side.
Yeah, so now this is kind of like, I wouldn't say disaster mode. It's a little bit too early for that. But Crash now, he's going to have to look in the Saharan desert for any camps.
I mean, the alarm is blaring, right?
Because Lee Sin, he has the freedom to go back to his own camp, towards his own Raptors, can take Raptors, can take Krugs, while Crash, he can take Braum. But what else is there available for him? He can take one risk, which is walk towards Raptors, recognizing that Lee Sin is still topside. Uh-oh.
Oh, I like this from EDG, though. They are looking for the dive top lane. Teleport being used, though, by Easyhoon. They might be content with the fact they've managed to burn the summer and the fact that Easyhoon completes it.
Yeah, it was a hard call for Easyhoon, whether he wanted to complete it just because the next wave was coming in. So very easily, EDG as a team could have just looked for the dive once again.
Yep, so he has to commit. And that means that EDG will pull ahead in terms of summon spell and the CS advantage in the mid lane now.
But the quiet winner after all of that play was made was Crash.
Yeah, he got the
like,
Raptors.
He's like, all right, we may have lost TP for it. Loong may have lost a lot of pressure in lane, but I got Raptors, I got the experience, I'm out.
I'm back in the game, boys. He's actually got the level advantage over Haro now because he made that play, so Crash is well and truly back in.
Thank the Lord.
Yep, he very much needed that.
It was a little bit risky coming in from Haro, because Haro very easily could have just made it a slower game just by looking back to his Raptors, taking Krugs, and just kind of making it difficult and putting Crash in a position where he had to just make a gank happen. And if the gank didn't work, then he's out of the game, right? That's what he could have done, but he just found an opportunity where he'd look for a dive, and if Loong falls behind in this lane, especially in a matchup he should be winning, then the one win condition early from Vici starts to falter.
Yep. It's definitely fine though. He still managed to get an advantage from it in terms of that teleport. And towards his bot lane now as well. And the Kog'Maw's actually doing absolutely fine in terms of farming. Like, he's not falling behind. In fact, he's got complete equal CS to the Caitlyn right now. So it's absolutely okay for the bottom lane of Vici. Have to take a look at that tower though to see if there's any damage onto that tower. But Crash is going to take away this ward in the top side jungle.
This tower should be a little bit unharmed, just because Tahm Kench can't really pressure you under tower. Can probably throw a tongue or two, but not going to mean too much. And on top of that, Caveman can actually kind of push aggro onto the enemy AD carry if he wants to try and auto the turret with his shield. So it's really interesting to see that interaction there. And sure, the trade potential is in favor of iBoy, it's in favor of Meiko. They just can't, can't convincingly push it into a tower kill.
Still waiting on that first back from Kog'Maw actually. Martin will be going back to base here. iBoy has gone for his first back. Picks up the BF sword. It's going to be a recurve bow in from Martin. And a teleport as well. So he'll just teleport back to get this mini wave.
Yeah, safe for him. He knows that he's not an offensive summoner spell deficit, knowing that iBoy TP to lane as well, just so he can kind of get an early push. But if the enemy TP is coming through, you can go for TP as well.
EDG taking away this blue buff. Looking towards Crash now if he's trying to do the same on the top side, but got Easyhoon going back to base. He's going to try and take it though. He knows there's no jungler there.
Yeah, always a good mind, Crash. Crash recognizing fairly early on, just because of how that level 3 skirmish went, that he always had to be trading, and he's always on the right map side of the map to trade.
Yeah, so good stuff from Crash right there. I was going to take his own red buff, and Crash will finally get the crab that he was denied earlier in the game. So far, no kills. Let's take a look at some of this yet. Basically even across the board, honestly. Got slight advantage to Crash because he's primarily just been farming. He's got that level 6, which is a nice spike for him in terms of damage, but not the same as Lee Sin will get from his own level 6.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, I think that EDG could have been a little bit farther ahead had they given the blue buff off to Scout, because they weren't really getting contested. There was no reason to just put it on Haro. Then it would have been a proper trade in favor of EDG, with Easyhoon being back at base when the trade was happening. So, but no, now Scout's in lane, has to base in a situation. He's going to get pushed in constantly versus the Easyhoon. This gives Vici a slow kind of tempo advantage that they can actually use Easyhoon towards the bottom side of the map. EDG just has to be a little bit cautious.
We'll see if they actually do that, because Scout has gone back to base, and he'll time up the Maleficent Visions as well. Nice. Little deny there of a couple minions. And he's actually gone for the very early QSS, actually, into Easyhoon. So he's just very much respecting the Nether Grasp.
It's a good call. Good call. One of the biggest risks, of course, of an AP mage going up against a Malzahar is that if you purchase a QSS to deal with the ulti from Malzahar, well, you're not going to be itemizing into anything else in terms of, like, it's not going to build into anything else that helps your AP. So it's just kind of like, it's an investment in a sense.
It is.
You pick it up just so you can stop Easyhoon from kind of making a play off your back. But it's kind of worthwhile.
It's not like you can take cleanse against it either, Kappa.
None of that here, Pulse. Uh-oh.
Ooh, cleared out the entire minion wave though. Is the teleport going to be completed? I believe it was cancelled. Yeah, it was cancelled by Easyhoon, but there was enough time for Loong to back away.
Yeah, it was a good cancel just because there was no wave coming through. And EDG is not going to dive a top lane tower with no wave. That's crazy.
Crash is about to find mid lane though, and the Nether Grasp, but there's the QSS coming in to use Haro. Trying to defend right here, but now he's trapped in between Easyhoon and Crash. Hops over the wall. Where's the rest of his team? Ray. He's putting some damage down as the exit.
Good pressure overall from Vici. trying to get a kill onto Scout, has to burn the QSS, but ultimately means that they can go back towards their waves and can start pressuring their tower. That's great. It started by Vici, Crash kind of getting on top of Haro. I like seeing this out of Vici. It's definitely a stylistic change that we've seen that goes back to what makes Crash good.
It just needed the Jax pick to unlock that.
Wait a minute, last game was good too. No Jax involved.
True. The smell of blood in the water, getting that first game against EDG. This tower's going to drop though. Martin is just basically trying to farm underneath it. 650 gold right over to iBoy.
It was 10 minutes into the game. This is what we are used to seeing when it comes to iBoy's Caitlyn. Because the EDG forces you in a position where you have to recognize you defend the bottom lane tower or let it go. Neither are good options because if you send Crash to defend it, they're in position to fight you. If you let it go, that's free gold to the Caitlyn, and she's moving on to the next objective.
Yeah, pretty big. Whoa, that was funky. Ray's going to continue following up with the hyper charges though. He'll be going Mega right now. And Ray, he's pretty much gotten a free pass through laning phase because of the pressure from Haro and mid lane. Like, he's gotten those 2 ganks, and it means that right now, hang on, where's this tele? Back to bot lane.
Ooh.
But yeah, Ray is in pretty good shape. He's not down in CS whatsoever against Jayce.
Yeah, he should feel comfortable, honestly, at this point in time. He's going to be able to keep Loong back, and it's forcing Loong into going Blade of the Rune King. He's going to end up going Black Cleaver later on, so he's going towards a split push build, but that's going to take a long time to kind of build up for himself where he hits that spike. Meanwhile, EDG are just firing off. iBoy's picked up a static Shiv. He's immediately pushed out that lane, and he has the ability to walk mid now. That static Shiv purchase is incredible for them because suddenly Vici are now way behind in tempo because the Kog'Maw is not going to be pushing nearly as fast as the Caitlyn.
No, iBoy is getting big very quickly. Got static Shiv and that BF sword already. Let's take a look at Scout. Yeah, he's just going to go back to base here. He's just farming up still. He's got a QSS and both his mana items, so he's still going. He's still farming up. But iBoy, the relentless pressure of a Caitlyn in the game when nothing is happening means that he just walks up the towers, he chips them away, and eventually he's going to erode your outer turrets.
Yep. And right now, Vici's hope is all in the fact that Easyhoon can maybe make a pick on someone that doesn't have QSS available to them, and Martin gets up to the fact that he gets his 1 item power spike. That's all he needs, just that 1 item. If he can get it for himself, that Rage Blade, suddenly they can look to force fights, because Caitlyn's not good in terms of team fighting. She doesn't have that much damage. Sure, she can control waves right now and chip down towers, but if you force them in a team fight, you lose.
Well, good luck, Scout. What's he got? Well, he just had the stopwatch, though he didn't pop the ultimate because the rest of his team is coming in to try and defend. Flash forced out by Crash. Caveman's going to eat up that boomerang. Haro on the top side opens up the opportunity for him to take Herald.
What a 2-piece play coming in from EDG. Not only do they defend bottom lane, Scout was very confident too. That just the fact that he had the stopwatch available to himself, there's no way that dive was going to come through. And they take a Rift Herald uncontested. Really smart from them.
Yeah, really good stuff from EDG, actually. Top lane's going to push in. However, the only real loser, I would say, was the CS from Ray, but he's going to eat most of that CS as he's already walking towards that top lane. So EDG barely lost anything and only had stuff to gain.
And this is what's going to suck if you're Vici gaming. After all of that, you set up for the bottom lane play. It doesn't work. It fizzles out. You're still losing the game slowly. This mid lane tower, if you lose this mid lane tower, that allows EDG to set deeper vision into your jungle, and it's the last thing you want. So you want to force a fight, but it seems like the fights they've been forcing haven't been sticking.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand why they're trying to, though. They feel like they have to do something, otherwise, eventually, you know, iBoy will take all their towers away from them. They just didn't work out.
It just has to be the fact that they want to, or at least they should, try and get a play onto either the Tahm Kench or the Gnar. It never feels good saying to make a play onto Tahm Kench, but if they try and make a play onto iBoy, Tahm Kench is going to eat iBoy and just run away. So you have to be able to burst down Meiko or feel confident that you're doing that, or immediately go topside and start trading with EDG and you can take down Ray 100%. It's a tough decision to make, but currently they're just losing out in pressure when they're being faced to them 2v2, 1v1s.
They should eventually get their first tower of the game in the form of bot tower. That's just evening up, and mid tower literally just taken out probably 100-0 by iBoy in his constant rotations, chipping away at it, eventually knocks it over.
I'm going to ask you, where's this Caitlyn going to go?
Oh, I wonder, Raz. Maybe top lane?
Thinking
top
emoji.
lane outer?
like, the worst thing about this if you're Vici Gaming is that all of this is telegraphed, but they just don't know how to stop it.
No, Loong has to sit so far back as well because he's like, well, I assume Caitlyn's coming here with the rest of the team, so I'll just let Ray take my tower now.
Yeah, EDG's just, even though this play is telegraphed, there's nothing Vici can really do about this other than trying to force the fight, but they're just choosing the wrong targets. They're choosing the target that can constantly get away from them. Stopwatch being exhausted down from the bottom side of the map from Scout was the best thing Scout could have done, just because, sure, you're going to dive me. Even if I die, even if you commit to the play, there's a lot that you're losing out on. And the worst thing here is that not only do you now have the Caitlyn push coming through with the static shift procs, but now, sure, Martin now finally has Rage Blade. But Haro was able to pick up Rift Herald, and if he tries to just drop Rift Herald top lane and then move mid lane, there's not really a play that Vici can go for.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that Herald to be used. We saw another Herald earlier today by GameGoon just fizzle.
Yeah.
So that was a bit sad. I'm expecting to see
opportunity.
a good play here from EDG.
Couldn't really find the opportunity, Kimgoon. This time around, EDG is so far ahead of Vici that there's really no wrong answer. Even if they just throw it in the bottom side of the map and she has to go for a long rock, and it's like, well, so you know what, EDG are doing so well on the top side of the map, they can just set up for a siege. And it's going to be like a Yorick ulti. I know that's a good call out for you.
It is, yeah, 100%.
It's the only useful thing Yorick can do.
It's a lot of useful things Yorick can do. Top lane, Nong's going to get called out, and Haro has the ultimate, kicks him into the wall. That was the old alley-oop there.
It's only sad that it just gets you 1 point. Usually that gets you 2. But it might give you, you know, if they take this one tower, just a little bit more gold in their pocket.
Should definitely take this, especially if they kill Crash here. He has to jump back to Caveman using his leap strike. In comes Martin to try and bolster the front lines, but this tower is very much gone.
At this point, Vici are really trying to dig deep and figuring out what they want to do. In the entire play, Martin was just farming up Raptors because he knows that he is their sole win condition on the team. He just needs to be a big Kog'Maw.
It takes so long. It took him so long just to get the Gwynsus because he went towards the ninja tabbies and he felt like he needed to.
It's kind of rough. Feels like he needs to scrape at every gold possible, at the bottom of the pot.
And the man's a pauper. Doesn't feel great.
Yeah. Wonder what he goes for next, because if he goes for Wit's End, then he still has a problem in wave clear, and they are in desperate need of it. Runan's Hurricane would help him out, but then suddenly, you know, you just knock. It just kind of takes away damage from you.
Yep. So another recurve bow item that would do both. Nope. Could we play the Ruin King? Again, just basically be the same thing as Wit's End. Might as well just go Wit's End at that point.
Just comes back to the point that EDG have so much push priority throughout the map. It feels really rough for Vici to kind of get any fight going for them.
I mean, it's just being strangled out of the game, essentially. They try to make these plays, but they're being absorbed by EDG's good play, either micro or macro. They just absorb the play. And over time, EDG are just taking these away. They are looking now onto a play onto Ray, but he's already out of there.
This is a bit too late. The fact that now they're finally trying to focus on to Ray, but Ray has such a long room to kind of walk away from this. And you look towards where EDG is currently propped up, and they get freedom to push onto tower. So one kind of misplay coming in from Crash, looking for this dive that was not going to be happening, means that he has to find a way to reposition around and defend this mid lane turret.
Yep, right play too late. Now mid lane. Boy, he's setting up a shot once again.
What?
Flash forward from... Oh, it's going to be the ultimate coming in from Easyhoon, but that was cleansed out of. Meiko backing away, but he's still got Grey Health ready to go, and Caveman, he's going to status up at the front, but he's eventually going to go down to iBoy. It's not like the team could re-engage on that.
I believe Caveman was trying to go for iBoy. I think he was trying to flash Q the Caitlyn to follow up on that. It was a misplay. And if you hit up on the Tahm Kench, sure, Tahm Kench is one of those members. If you can kill him, then great. Excellent pick. But it's going to be hard to kill him.
I mean, he's also picked up QSS, Raz, so he's recognized that he's the only person they can really go for. There's going to be Crash blocking up the ace in the hole there as well.
It's just, I would say, smart marketing from EDG. Just immediately, the opportunity cost recognizing, yeah, support picks up QSS. Mid lane picks QSS. Guess what? What is your main form of starting these fights? It's Malzahar. Guess you can't start a fight, can you? It's not going to happen.
Nope, literally, you don't have anyone to... Oh, you're going to have to burn the QSS first! Where did his health go? Easyhoon needs to try and protect him. iBoy took a bunch of damage as well, but he's going to make it out alive here.
The long con. We all focus on the fact that Easyhoon was getting bursted down. Somehow iBoy traded HP. Didn't see how that happened.
Now, I've got to assume it was maybe Martin or Loong, a shock blast, perhaps, but...
I'll say this about Martin. Even if it wasn't him, one thing I've really been noticing about him this game thus far is that he's been doing well in recognizing what is the right and wrong play from EDG. Like when they were walking up to the mid lane tower initially, he just walks up and trades a bit of HP onto iBoy because Kog'Maw does a lot of damage, especially onto Caitlyn. So he's been helping this team quite a bit in terms of forcing trades just to force EDG's decision, saying, well, you're either going to dive towards this tower. Looking at the HP of iBoy, I don't think you want to do that. It's buying them a little bit of time.
It is, and time is ultimately what Vici needs and wants at the end of the day, though next dragon is going to be Infernal. I feel like Vici will probably have to at least look at it before deciding to give it up.
Yeah, this is going to be hard, because sure, Dragon is going to be a focus, but Baron is the major play that Vici wants to kind of bring them back into this game. And it's called Smite Stealing. That's really what they're hoping for. With how far behind they are in this game, I think EDG should just try to not do Baron, just because at this point they can win without it. Wait a second.
One chance, hang on. Martin's okay, but he did have to use the stopwatch there for it.
Yeah, and he really needed this team to back him up, because if the trap was placed underneath that stopwatch, you're dead. So kind of watch out where you're stopwatching at this point in the game. I'm looking at Jax, who has stopwatch, because Caitlyn does very well into it.
Yeah, she does. Now setting up shot once again in mid lane. The Static Shift just hitting the tower, and Haro waiting around the sides as well. He's looking for the flank, connects the Q. Now he can just wait here. That's all he needs to do. Wait out the timer.
Yeah, the threat's real, even though he ward hopped through the wall. Wait a second.
Oh, Ray dragging back in Loong, and now he's just under the midst of iBoy, who's able to shoot him down.
What a good play. And I mean, they're just going to keep forcing this through. Bottom lane tower is the next focus.
Scan's going to get this one regardless. Easyhoon comes down to meet him, but Vici are a man down. And looking towards EDG to see what they do. And they're actually continuing this mid lane. They have the traps. They have iBoy. They're going to keep sieging this. Crash looking for the flank. Gets the stun down only onto Ray, and Easyhoon has to come back to the mid lane to try and defend.
And you can see how desperate Vici are. That was such a random Hail Mary play that they can try and force onto EDG, because EDG is not playing the random game. They're not going back to Baron off that one kill. Sure, they could, and then maybe they can get a lot with the Baron minions, but they recognize that Vici just need a Baron steal to get them back into the game. So, you know what? Don't give them that chance. Deny the rest of the map from them. Vici hasn't seen 70% of the map for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, most of the game, to be honest, has been trapped in their base or nearby. 1 minute left on the Infernal Dragon. You have to assume this is just going to go over to EDG because, as you said, the big objective for Vici, they want to try and come back into this game, is going to be around that Baron. Crash is doing what he can in terms of the early legwork there alongside Caveman, placing down the wards, clearing out the wards as well from EDG. But really is just down to that. Push out the waves, get out of your base, do what you can.
And teams can be really, I would say, creative about how they want to play around their kind of wave management, lane assignments. You have 3 TPs on the side of EDG because of the spellbook that's been placed out. Scout and the iBoy kind of showcasing their spellbook use. Meanwhile, Easyhoon and Loong have TP for themselves. And all that really means is that suddenly that they can send Easyhoon towards the bottom lane, they can send Loong towards the bottom lane, and they will always have the members ready for when that Baron play starts. In EDG, I mean, they don't have to look towards Baron, and if Vici ever do start it, then it doesn't really matter who they have in the bottom side of the map. All 3 carries will have TP to reset position.
Yeah, Long's gone back into the bottom side now, but he's actually instantly backs away. Yeah, he's just aware that someone could be in the jungle because they have 0 vision of bot side. They placed all of it around the Baron. He's being very skittish right now about going towards there. And now seeing that the Dragon's gone down, he'll probably pop out of the bush.
Yeah, all of Vici's pressure was focused towards Baron. That was their end game moment and focus. But EDG are just taking as many free objectives, recognizing that if there's no vision towards Dragon, especially an Infernal Dragon, they'll net that themselves.
Yeah, you can just see Ray was thinking about going there onto Loong, but he's going to catch the minion wave as it comes back now. And this mid tower, it's not too far away from going down, though. iBoy did just eat a big shock blast. Vici hold the mid lane. And it is still just all about this top side of the map. A lot of the vision line has pushed him very deep from EDG.
Worst thing about this is all that poke that comes through can be healed up just because of the double Ocean Dragon EDG have for themselves. All they're really waiting on is just for Ray to push out that bottom side of the map. Once he does, they can set up for whatever play they want, either be it Baron or Tower. Seems like this time around it's going to be the Baron.
Started it. Taking a look at Easyhoon, who's currently leading the charge. Loong hasn't decided to teleport just yet. Martin, where is he located right now? Vici a little bit split in the jungle. Is trying to get some recon, get some vision down as they have done. That control ward went over the wall, but EDG, they're going to try and cut them off. Here comes the ultimate out from Scout. Meiko comes into the back lines, and Ray, he's found Martin, though he's very low. Icafian surprise, but Meiko exists, and he's just going to gobble up his top laner.
Such a smart play. I mean, they're just baiting Vici towards Baron time and time again, saying, oh, you want this? You want this purple worm? We're going to come for it.
They're playing it so well right there. Losing the AD carry, Crash. It's all down to him, essentially. We just have to look at a potential steal. Caveman with Easyhoon clearing out this ward. It's down to 4,000 HP. Vici just getting glimpses right now of what Baron looks like, and Crash, he's finding the opportunity. He's used the counter-strike, but hasn't jumped over just yet. He needs to find an opportunity. Jumps in now. Not going to happen. Scout secures the Baron. It was very dicey, but EDG have managed to get it. Crash, the absolute hero, Caveman, allowing him to escape.
Oh, you know what? It was worth a try. It was that one hero moment they were looking for Crash to go for it. EDG did not have a single member that could push Crash away. Maybe Ray if he had Mega Gnar. Wasn't going to be the case, so he found free entry, just wasn't able to smite it away.
No, it really was just that 50-50, and it was very close. The fact that Scout manages to pick up Baron, like, that's not what you want to necessarily see if you're EDG, but you still got it. So does it really matter into the end?
To be fair, we're never looking for just the smite. We're looking for the burst from the entire team. Ryze has quite a bit of burst with the items that he has, and he's probably set it up with an E as well. So you can just throw EQ. It's quite a bit of damage that he's kind of stacking on top of the smite from Haro. So overall, I mean, sure, Ryze gets it, but it was because of the call and the communication to burst down this Baron the moment Jax comes in.
Fair enough. I would definitely still be clenching though if I was.
Oh, 100%.
But there you have it. So they can just go 1-3-1, push it in, chip away at the towers, and just play it safe from here on out. EDG, the playbook is very clear from here on.
Crazy that there only been 4 kills. It just kind of showcases what EDG can do with so little. Knowing that their composition is so centered around just picking up towers, the only really move towards the Baron once they've netted so much of the map.
I mean, it's nice to see, right? Because we already...
Okay.
Well, that's all of Caveman's HP.
That is literally a tank. Gone.
Yep, not anymore. He's definitely not a tank. Mid tower's about to fall. They can actually just leave it to these cannon minions that are laying waste to the base right now. And we know that EDG can play multiple styles, right? Like, that's what really this game has taught me. Is that Vici, you know that they're going to play slow, so EDG, can you adapt to that? Are you just going to run at them and see what happens? No, you can play it slow yourself and just outthink them, outplay them across the map. And while it was a little bit problematic in Game 1, you've very much learnt your lesson heading into Game 2.
I think one person going into Game 2 that we were really trying to test to see, is it going to actually take it? Oh, no,
If Crash runs away, then yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's Crash. Crash for me going into Game 2, making a few poor decisions in terms of what fight he wanted to go for. Really showcased that now going into Game 3, he's got to step it up.
Definitely has to. But the fact that we even go into a Game 3 in the first place, like Vici had this game as a nice little blanket for themselves. But now it seems like the curtain is closing. It's coming down on Vici. He has no target to ultimate. Everyone's got a QSS or someone has an out, so he just can't do anything. That feels bad.
Definitely does.
He's going to take the first tower. They're going to chip away at the second tower. Maybe we get a fight, maybe we don't, but Ray definitely wants one. Jumps in, massive Gnar ultimate across the Nexus. Now he's eaten up by Meiko. No idea how Mega Gnar fits inside Tahm Kench, but League of Legends physics. Both Nexus turrets fall, and somehow the game will end with 4 kills. Not a single kill in his final fight. Okay, there's 2. Good job, iBoy. Make it a bit bloody in the end. The Nexus will finally fall. 6 kills in the game. EDG take Game 2.
And it was tough if you are a Vici fan, but EDG nets the kill, or at least the win, in a very convincing manner. There were a lot of skirmishes. Got to give it to Vici. They tried their hardest to kind of get the game back in their favor, but at every step, at every turn, there was always a trade being made. Caitlyn was always in a different lane, and they noticed too late.
Yep.
One thing now that I got to focus towards Vici, kind of criticized Crash a little bit. It's a combination of things, because you saw how desperate it was for Malzahar, for Easyhoon to want to create a fight, to want to ulti somebody. And every single time, the only person that was presented to him was Ryze with a QSS. There's a lot of ways for Ryze to stop that from happening. It's the stopwatch afterwards. It's his ulti afterwards. The QSS is another. So you want to be able to send Malzahar towards the top side of the map.
Yeah.
You want to send him towards the Gnar. You want to send him towards Meiko if you're going to create a team fight. But it never really was presented to him. Vici really wasn't setting up for that play.
Yeah, and as you said, they did identify it, but way too late. Way too late. And by that time, the game was already over, because look at the goal graph, how perfectly like aligned that it is. Like there's no spikes in that game. It was no major team fights. It was just bit by bit, EDG managed to kill them.
It was a picture-perfect game. It was a moment where every single time Vici were trying for one play, it felt desperate, because at the end of the other end of the map, it was EDG constantly looking for chip towers and Haro taking other objectives as well, whether it was the Dragon or the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and it's just well played from EDG as well, being able to take it in a long game and a long, slow game at that. But we're going to go to a game 3, so we're going to take a look at that game, courtesy of the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Richard Pulse Cam and Barento Raz Mohammed, for bringing us through that game, too. Once again, joining me here on the desk is Rusty. Do you want to be Zach Rusty Pie, or do you just want to be...
Definitely preferential to just Rusty.
Okay,
yeah.
just Rusty. Well, just Rusty, Vici Gaming. We said in the beginning of the day, we want to see something out of Vici. We really need to see them change and grow and show us something new. And they absolutely did. And then they just kind of forgot about it.
They thought they were an NALCS team. There was actually a second game in the series. Disaster. We didn't plan for this to happen. And, like, you look at the draft, and suddenly all of the champions we played in game 1 are gone. And here's the thing that really gets me, Dom. Here's the thing. All right, what didn't work for EDG in game 1? That's what VG's first thought was, because they banned all of my champions. Well, you know what didn't work for EDG? Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Let's first pick the Kog'Maw. It's genius. And then they lost with it, and you're like, man, I never saw that one coming. What a plot twist. Amazing.
Well, look, it seemed like they had the right idea, right? Because they've got the Kog'Maw for late game security. They've got the Jayce to try to bridge themselves over it. Malzahar to try to make something happen in the early and the mid game.
Yeah, conceptually it still made sense, Dom. I will say that. The Jayce pick for top lane, I agree, it's a good pick. It does well into the Gnar. For the mid lane 1v1 matchup, neither of them should really kill each other, but neither of them even got blue buff, so there was no real advantage or disadvantage. They just recalled and teleported to lane a lot. So for mid lane, both just nullified, both technically just irrelevant. So you look at the jungle role and say that's where the difference should be made. And for the first big trade that happened in the game, Haro won. So EDG had control of the map, and it felt like that control never dissipated, never went away, and they didn't have to do anything bottom if the junglers just found each other and met each other constantly, because the Caitlyn will push. All of the pressure was on the top side for EDG because it was in Vici's jungle, and so top was equalized, and then nothing happened for Vici.
So then I want to pose you with a question, because we talked about Crash being a super aggressive, in-your-face jungler, the kind of guy who would live in your jungle, set up a house, a nice log cabin, and just take a nice vacation there. He's not here. He's gone missing. The Crash from Worlds is Mia. How on earth does Vici try to get back to that? Where do you reckon this disconnect is?
I don't know if you can bring that Crash back just yet. You need to be able to get more control around the map. The first thing they had was a Bard in the bottom lane and a Shen in the top lane, and that was 2 wildcard champions that helped out a bunch for game number 1 Vici. But they come into the second game and they drive closer to a conventional Vici from what we've seen earlier in the split, and then they don't have the same Crash. So for me, it is draft again, something we mentioned in game 1 for EDG. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot. I do think the draft needs to be reassessed by Vici to actually be more aggressive. Yes, you can draft to win top lane, but you have to actually win the top lane through your jungler being there.
And of course, someone who benefited from that lack of pressure from Crash in that previous game was iBoy. He's going to take our man of the match for that game number 2. Obviously, the Caitlyn very strong in lane, and he was able to pull off some massive damage numbers, 47.8%. And we saw what those crits were doing late game.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of work. Every time someone stood on a trap, they lost most of their health. My mind goes back to Easyhoon in the mid lane inner turret when he accidentally stepped on one.
Yeah.
And then had Dazonia's because he was dead already in one hit from iBoy. Did do a lot of damage, but most of it was to structures, and I'd love to see how much damage he did to those structures. Took the bottom lane outer, then just went to mid lane, then just went to top lane, and it feels like that's all it really took for the game to be over here for the side of Vici. No response available to them, and EDG with a lead. And this is the big thing. We said at the end of game number 1, the way that you should beat Vici is by controlling Vici. That's what EDG did. They actually controlled the tempo of the entire game and didn't give any opportunities to the Vici side.
This is EDG showing, hey, we know how to play more than just one style. We don't just sit back and play a lazy, patient game. We dominate and control the map. And Vici, they simply had no answer. They used to be death by 1,000 paper cuts. Well, what happens if they don't even have any paper to cut you with?
Yeah, tragically for them, of course, all they could really do was sit there and lose.
Yeah, well, tragically, it didn't work out for them. We're going to have to see, though, if they can return to their game number 1 form. We've got a quick break coming at you. The ace match between Vici Gaming and EDG in just a few.